All right, welcome back to American Republic. Hopefully you've taken now the quiz for chapter 21. Also, in case you've noticed, I added an extra video onto the 8th grade playlist. Well, actually, I found it from another source on YouTube. If that interested you, is about basically a little more details on Charles Lindbergh and his flight across the Atlantic. Hopefully that was entertaining for you guys. Plus, it was listening to someone else talk instead of me. So that's got to be better right there. We're picking up with Roman numeral 3. This is going to be a two-part series over this Roman numeral. Today we're going to do this, and then the next second half will actually be done for next week. This is the last video for this week because of Easter weekend coming up. Hope that you all have a good time enjoying that. Make sure that you, if your church isn't having church, that you either listen on the radio or you go online and watch a service that's taking place. Celebrate Easter. Read the passage on the resurrection of Christ. Remember the reason why we're having this. Next time we have class will be the next week, Tuesday, so make sure that you're ready for that. The Roaring Twenties was the nickname for the 1920s, describing the growing changes in American society. Technology changed, people continued moving to the cities away from family and friends, social ties were weakened, there was more leisure time provided by more entertainment opportunities. New ideas about Christianity will gain greater influence. Popular literature began to contradict key Christian beliefs. So letter A, the new morality. This, by the way, students, is the topic of the essay on your test. You guys, of course, have your notes for the test, but make sure you jot down what needs to be said. Make sure you jot that this is the topic of the essay. Also, the pages, if you want to look in your book at the pages for the material, it's over pages 420 to 422. Many young Americans began to revolt against traditional morality at this time. This was especially seen on college campuses. Wild parties, drunkenness, and immorality were not uncommon. Popular radio songs expressed these actions as well. Psychologist Sigmund Freud taught that expressing one's full desires on everything is healthy. He believed that if it feels good, do it. In fact, he would say it's good for you to do it. American films also became a huge industry at this time. In 1922, about 40 million Americans attended movies. In 1930, the number was up to 90 million people. The morality, or lack thereof, of these movies became examples for common Americans. Also, people began to have a desire to follow the daily lives of their favorite actors and actresses. Many young women who adopted the dress and lifestyle of the times were known as flappers. They delighted in shocking their elders with shorter skirts, using slang, new dances, heavy makeup, and drinking and smoking in public. Dancing and jazz were especially popular among women and men. While people seemed to be enjoying life on the surface, however, deep down, there was a different feeling. Literature themes during this time emphasized the despair and disillusionment that lay beneath the surface. Examples of the authors T.S. Eliot, Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald. A couple things about them. T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland reflected the hopelessness that followed World War I. He is the one who famously said, "This is how the world ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper." Ernest Hemingway wrote stories about people failing to find meaning in life. And F. Scott Fitzgerald lived a glamorous life, but personally dealt with alcoholism and his wife's mental illness. His book, The Great Gatsby, told the story of a man corrupted by the new morals of the era. So a question might be asked, how different are the 1920s morals and today? Well, in my opinion, not much. We're probably just a little further down the road than they are. Why was this era considered such a dramatic change, a dramatic lifestyle? If you look up flappers, you'd see people and you're like, well, they don't look too different from us. The answer is you're right. They aren't too different from us. But comparing them to what the culture was like before the 1920s, it was a huge change that came about from before 1920s to that time period. Not all things were rough or bad or questionable material as well. For example, letter B, we have sports becoming more popular. A growing interest in sports was another result of the growth of leisure time. Some people participated in sports. Most people attended as spectators or listened to them on the radio. Gertrude Edler, who's she? She became the first woman to swim the 22 miles across the English Channel. She did it in about 14 and a half hours. Now, I don't know about you, but personally, I have a hard time swimming across the length of a pool without, drowning. She was able to swim across the English Channel for 14 and a half hours. Another woman was Helen Wills. She earned fame playing tennis. Another famous sports star was Harold, nicknamed Red Grange. He was nicknamed the Galloping Ghost. He played college football for the University of Illinois. He received the longest standing ovation, over 5 minutes, in the history of college football when he ran for 4 touchdowns within a 12-minute span. Knute Rockne, he was a popular coach for Notre Dame's football team. His running backs were known as the 4 Horsemen of Notre Dame. Another famous star was Jack Dempsey. He was a popular boxer, described as having a neck like a bull, a granite jaw, and fists like iron. He drew in the first $1 million gate for a single sporting event. Horse racing drew crowds, some for the show, others to gamble. Probably the most famous individual on this list was George Herman, otherwise known as Babe Ruth. He played for the Boston Red Sox before being traded to the New York Yankees. He would go on to set the record for the most home runs by a single player. That is, until Hank Aaron beat his number in the 1970s. Quick question, anyone know how many home runs he hit? The answer, 714 home runs. Another famous star was Bobby Jones. He played golf, winning amateur and open titles in the U.S. and Britain. In fact, he is known for founding the Masters tournament. And lastly, we have Barney Oldfield. He's famous for participating in county fair races as well as national races. So he was known as a car racer. Letter C, Prohibition. Actually, that's as far as we're going to cover for today. I know this is a shorter lesson for you, but I'm sure you're not too upset about that. Again, please make sure that you enjoy this weekend. Please make sure that you honor the Lord on Easter Sunday. Hope you all have an enjoyable 4-day weekend. Be good, do good. Bye.